You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, trying. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities, Friday the 13th. It's Friday, March 13th. Thank you guys for joining us wherever you are, however you are taking the show in. We definitely appreciate it here on a windy day in the Quad Cities. I'm sure around the entire Midwest as well. So the weekend is upon us. It is St. Patrick's Day weekend. So a fun weekend here in the Quad Cities, and I'm sure wherever you're watching from. So happy St. Patrick's Day weekend. Let's get to that weekend. My weekend starts in about 2 hours. So a lot to do though before the weekend gets here. So hopefully you're along for the ride as well. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so ASAP and tell a friend or two or 10 friends about what we're doing each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities and around the Midwest as well. Also, we're live on X. X has been very, very good to us. So if you're watching us on X, we appreciate that. Stay interactive, not just on X, but the YouTube chat is up and going as well, and always very busy this time of year, all the time, really. So make sure you have questions for guests or myself, or you want to complain or whatever you want to do, be interactive with the show as well. You can check out the podcast version of the show each and every day as well. Go to anywhere you get your podcasts and put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, you name it, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts, you put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, you can listen to the show as well instead of looking at this. Nobody wants to look at this the whole time. So also welcome to our viewers in Central Iowa. We are on each and every evening on the WHO streaming app. We appreciate that. So thank you guys for joining us as well. It's been a busy week here on the show. We started things off talking a lot of women's basketball. We talked with Kyle Huseman and John Bonenkamp. The Maquoketa girls basketball team won a state championship. We had them on a Monday as well. Tuesday was Tom Kakert, a couple coaches from the Western Big Six baseball side of things, as they held their banquet this week as well. And also KWWL's Mark Woodley joined us on Tuesday as well. That was a lot of fun. First time Mark has ever been on the show. Will not be the last time Mark will be on the show. Really enjoyed him as well. Wednesday we had Allie Meadows, former Central DeWitt standout, now with Western Illinois. They're going to the NCAA tournament, possibly heading to Iowa City to take on maybe the Iowa Hawkeyes as a 2:15 game. We'll see. We'll wait till Selection Sunday, but that was Wednesday, and a bunch more on Wednesday as well. Yesterday's show, Tom Kakert, Jim Matson was great as well, and Larry Hawley. So a busy week. If you missed any of the shows this week, go back, check them out sometime over the weekend. Don't go anywhere right now. We've got a very busy Friday to get to. Coming up, we're going to get everything covered. Covering sports here in this area for 25 years. I know everyone wants to hear about their team, and they don't want to be left out. So today we got Hawkeyes, Cyclones, and Illini fully covered when it comes to the madness that is March. Coming up in a matter of moments, Tyler Tachman from the Des Moines Register will join me to talk Iowa basketball. They're done at the Big Ten tournament. The good news is they're not done for the season. They'll be in the NCAA tournament. Selection Sunday actually means something in Iowa City for the first time in a while. So we'll talk with Tyler about what he saw in Chicago, what he expects maybe on Selection Sunday. Ben McCullum with some interesting comments after the game about his team and maybe his team's belief in themselves. It was really interesting to hear from a guy that has won a ton in his career. And I know people are going to say not at the Division I, Power 5 level. I understand that. It's his first year at Iowa, but D2 level, national championships, great success at Drake last season. So really interesting stuff. We'll talk with Tyler Tachman in a matter of moments about that. Jake Brend, our Cyclone expert from the Cyclone Fanatic, is in Kansas City, probably just waking up right now after a long night of celebrating Iowa State dominance so far in the Big 12 tournament. They'll play in the semifinals this evening. I believe 6 p.m. is the tip time. So I guess Jake could have probably slept till noon. He's going to get up early for us. We will be joined by him around 10:45. Talk about Iowa State, Big 12 basketball. Also, they're changing the floor, the LED glass floor that they had, which I thought looked really cool. A lot of complaints about slipping and all those kind of things. They're changing that right now. So they're going back to the old school hardwood floor for this evening's semifinals. So Jake Brend coming up in just a little bit. Also, Kedric Prince, the Illini. It's crazy that we're this far into conference tournaments and Illinois hasn't even played a game. They play today at 1:30, so about 3.5 hours from now. So we will talk with our Illini expert, Kedric Prince, gets you set for Illinois, Wisconsin. Great day at the Big Ten. Kind of makes me bummed out a little bit Iowa didn't win yesterday because it could have been Iowa, Michigan, but it's Ohio State, Michigan. It's Illinois, Wisconsin. It's Purdue, Nebraska, and then UCLA versus Michigan State. So a really, really good day of college basketball at the UC. I'm going to find myself someplace to watch basketball for the afternoon and evening as well. It's going to be a fun Friday for yours truly here in the Quad Cities. So a lot to get to on today's show. Make sure you guys are participating in the chat, all those kind of things. We appreciate that as well. A few news and notes before we get into our guests and the show itself. As we mentioned, Iowa done with the Big Ten tournament. They lost to Ohio State 72-69. Bennett Sturts with 17 points. Balanced scoring. 6 players had 8 points or more, but only one in double figures. That was Bennett Sturts. So their season is done. Iowa beating Maryland gets them in the NCAA tournament. I probably think they were in regardless, but they have no reason to sweat. They bubble is bad. We'll kind of get Tyler Tachman's thoughts on where they land in the seeding type of stuff coming up here in just a matter of moments. Iowa State continued to dominate. They beat TCU. They beat Texas Tech 75-53 last night. They've been dominant. As we mentioned, the glass floor does leave Iowa State and Arizona tonight at 6 p.m. Illinois, Wisconsin at 1:30 today. Also, some NFL news. And you guys can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Kyler Murray signed with the Vikings. And as a Lions fan, and there's plenty of Bears fans and Packers fans out there as well, why do I feel like this is going to work out? I've had several buddies tell me that he's awful. Don't worry about it. He's not good. But people said that about Jared Goff when he was down at the Rams, and he's been great in Detroit. And you've seen what Kevin O'Connell has done in Minnesota with quarterbacks, and he was the number 1 overall pick. I know he's short. I know all those kind of things, but for some reason, that worries me a little bit. They won 9 games in Minnesota with no quarterback. So to add anything, and if they can make things work there, just makes the NFC North even more interesting. I don't know why. I looked at the odds today, and the Vikings were like plus 700 to win the NFC North. I don't think the Bears are going to do it again. Shocking that I think that. Lions haven't done anything yet. I think the Packers have probably taken a step back this offseason. Now, the offseason is just starting, so a lot more can be done. Draft still coming up, all that kind of stuff. But Vikings won 9 games with no quarterback. And now they get a guy that might catch lightning in a bottle, a former number 1 overall pick. So just a little rant about the NFL. Always talking NFL. I can't get away from it. Even in March, you got to talk a little bit of NFL. So anyways, jam-packed show. Can't wait to get rolling. As I mentioned, you cannot complain today. I have Hawkeyes, Cyclones, and Illini. I am completely covered. No biases at all when it comes to my teams or any team here in our area. Let's start talking a little Hawks.
And I think you can already look at all the other programs.
So joining me now, right back from the Windy City, Tyler Tachman from the Des Moines Register. Tyler, first and foremost, welcome home. I don't know if it was too early, too late for you, but obviously Iowa got a lot accomplished in Chicago. I guess your thoughts of overall trip to Chicago, and yes, no Big Ten tournament championship, but they got something accomplished, didn't they?
No, you just reminded me saying the Windy City. Is it windy there where you're at right now?
Awful.
It feels like I'm in the Windy City now, and I just came back from there. I feel like I'm on like the top of Mount Everest or something with all this wind. But anyways, yeah, the Big Ten tournament. Well, they accomplished what they absolutely needed to, which was beating Maryland, and a loss there would have kind of made things probably a little bit dicier on Selection Sunday. They still could have made it, but they accomplished absolutely what they absolutely needed to, which was winning that game, avoiding a bad loss, and basically clinching themselves a berth in the NCAA tournament. Now, the Ohio State game, it followed a tune that has been prevalent in 3 of the last 4 games, which is they dig themselves a big hole in the second half, come fighting back, and then ultimately don't have enough to finish it off. I mean, that was the case against Michigan. That was the case against Nebraska, which ultimately went into overtime. And then that was the case again against Ohio State, where they went down by 16, had 2 3-pointers in the last 8 seconds to try to tie the game, and weren't able to convert on either. So I wouldn't say like the Big Ten tournament was like a huge success for Iowa, but what they were able to accomplish is, 1, very likely cementing themselves a spot in the NCAA tournament, and 2, they snapped their losing streak, because they came into the Big Ten tournament having lost 3 in a row. 2 of them were to really good teams. 1 of them was to a terrible team, but you finally kind of break through, and I don't think they've necessarily built momentum, but they've at least shown that they can get back into the win column.
Tyler, you were in the post game, and Ben was. I usually start with the game itself, then get to the aftermath, but I want to start with Ben after the game, and he came in with an interesting topic or point I think he wanted to get across. We'll take a listen to it right now, and then I want to get your thoughts on what he wanted to say.
And so trying to get them to understand that you're not just a win a conference tournament game team. You're not just a make the NCAA tournament team. You know, you need to be able to win those games. And I think often, and this is why people sit in mediocrity for a long time, is because they start to fall in love with really good. And you know, I probably had that happen to me when I was in, it was like my 7th or 8th year. We went to 3 straight Sweet 16s and lost by 1-2 points. I don't remember the exact scores. And I always thought we were really good and close. And then I realized that was the biggest issue that we had, was the fact that we were settling for really good. And I want our guys to understand that just because you've accomplished some things, and everybody wants to compare it to last year, and I just don't do that. Like, last year's last year. You know, the last coaching staff's the last coaching staff. I have zero interest in comparing the two. And I don't want our guys to either. We got to compare ourselves to ourselves, and we can be better than that. So kind of summing that up, trying to go from really good to being great is something that is really hard to do. And our kids need to understand really good's not acceptable. It's actually worse than being just bad. It's just like I always cringe when I see coaches, like, especially new coaches, they finish like 4th place in their league because they never ever get a championship. Very rarely do you finish 4th and then win 1st place eventually, because you don't hit rock bottom. That was the benefit of my first 2 years, is we hit rock bottom. And then it's like, dude, I don't like that anymore. I like to finish first. So then you finish first. Well, then you do that a few times, and then you get really good, and then it's like, okay, I like this feeling, but do I like it too much? And then all of a sudden the next year you win the national title. And that's kind of the message, that long answer to a short question, sorry.
So Ben, kind of with a message after the game, Tyler, your thoughts on maybe his message? I don't think it was to us, maybe it was to his team, but a deep thinking Ben McCollum after the game.
Yeah, Bennett Sturts said the post-game message from Ben McCollum to the team after the game was that he believes in the team, and he doesn't necessarily think that the team themselves believe in the team. And I feel like that's maybe one of the holdups right now. I mean, I was at a physical disadvantage in some of these games. Like, that was the case against Ohio State, where they're just bigger physically. They got bullied in the paint, Christoph Tilley, Amari Bynum. But, like, I think part of what this team has to figure out to kind of reach a new level is, like, truly believing in what they're capable of. And that's what Ben McCollum, he feels like they're not quite there yet. And that was a message after the game. Bennett Sturts echoed that. Cam Maniow talked about how they feel like they need to go into games truly believing that they're the better team. And I mean, I think you've seen that where there's just these kind of stretches where right now trying to predict how Iowa's going to perform on a game-to-game basis and even over the course of the game is a roll of the dice because they've had some highs. They beat Nebraska. You've seen them taking some elite teams down to the wire, like Iowa State on the road, Michigan at home, and then they've also had these games where they lose at Penn State, where they lose at Maryland. So it's a pretty drastic roller coaster ride, and I think it's just we've seen that they can be really good, but I think it's trying to get that on a consistent basis, and it seems like part of that is the team truly believing in what they're capable of. So as much as you can point to, hey, Iowa, needs to worry about obviously the team on the opposing side of them, but they also, I think, need to kind of find maybe a little bit more of a belief within themselves and what they're capable of the rest of the season, because this is Selection Sunday is the starting line for the final and most consequential race of the season.
You mentioned the starting line, and I don't know what the team thinks, and maybe I can pick your brain about that. But for some Iowa fans that I talk to, you mentioned the starting line being Selection Sunday. I feel like for some Iowa fans, I don't want to say the finish line is Selection Sunday, but it's a relevant Selection Sunday for the first time in a long time, and I think fans compare like, where were we a year ago? Where were we 2 years ago? And they're happy, content, hopeful, but content, I think. That's some Iowa fans, and I get that. I understand you look and you're like, hey, making progress. The team can't feel that way, and I'm sure Ben doesn't feel that way. This is a chance to do something special or continue. Your thoughts on that? Because I think people compare and contrast to where they've been, and it's good, but I know their head coach isn't happy with being close, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, Ben definitely feels that way. But and he said after the Ohio State game, like, he doesn't like to compare this season to last season at Iowa. He was like, it's a totally different staff, But I mean, as objective observers, like, I mean, it's kind of hard not to do that comparison just to kind of show where the program was and where it has come in a pretty short period of time. And I think you can already, assuming that Iowa makes the NCAA tournament, you can categorize year one under Ben McCollum as a success because they've won 21 games. That's the most since the 2021-2022 season. They've clearly laid the foundation for the program. But there's more. And then you look around to the rest of the Big Ten. Look at all the other programs that had new coaches this season. Indiana, Minnesota, Maryland. If you want another indication of how difficult it is as a first-year head coach in a program to have a level of success, just look at all the other programs around the Big Ten this season. Like Indiana flamed out in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, or in their first game of the Big Ten tournament. Maryland struggled mightily. Minnesota, they showed fight. They dealt with injuries, but Iowa very clearly had the best season of them all. But that said, I mean, I think that because of this team has shown what they're capable of. It's not like, I mean, I think part of the reason there is that belief is because it's not like when they play these high-level teams, they're not just getting shellacked every time. Like, they got beat by Purdue pretty bad at Carver, and they lost pretty big to Michigan State on the road. Other than that, they've shown that they can play. They're a few possessions away from, from beating Michigan, from beating Nebraska on the road, even Illinois at home where they dug themselves a huge deficit and came back. Like, there are a few possessions in their favor here or there from beating those teams. So that's why I thought there's that belief that, like, there's still more in the tank. Now, am I totally confident they're going to get there? They're going to have to kind of erase some of these inconsistencies in a pretty short period because it's been a roller coaster, like I said, but they've shown at their best they are capable. And that's why I feel like there's that belief that there is possibility for them to at least make some type of noise in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Tyler, when you look big picture and you mentioned other coaches that have just started with their programs. We'll talk about another one specifically in a little bit, because I want to compare and contrast not the choice for Iowa, but Darren
I have a
Reeves.
feeling I know where this is going.
Yeah, we'll get to it in just a second. But I want to, because it's not just the play on the court and the wins and the losses. And it's going back a little bit, but last Thursday evening, we were at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and I remember saying to our good friend Joe Conklin, I'm like, last year, the last game of the year, Carver Hawkeye, there wasn't anybody here. And then against Michigan, and it didn't end up the way they wanted, but that was a great crowd, and it was live and active and nearly a sellout. The students were there. I know it's probably after the season conversation, but that kind of vibe is different. Wins and losses are different, but I feel like Iowa fans feel they're already in a much better place because there's actually interest and excitement in the program, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can see the buy-in. You can see the fact that people are starting to kind of believe in what the program is capable of under Ben McCollum. And I felt like the Nebraska win kind of, it wasn't the major factor in any of that, but like that was kind of an important stepping stone and like showing that it is possible and being able to have the court storm and have that kind of moment for the program. But it's definitely movement in the right direction. And that was part of the challenge that Ben McCollum faced, is like kind of rebuilding that relationship with the fan base and bringing people back. And he made that a priority from his introductory press conference. And part of it too, I feel like, is like, the style that Iowa plays and the types of players that Ben McCollum gets as being high motor guys, like it's an easy style to buy into. Maybe not necessarily the pace of play. I get that you might want to see the offense maybe play at a faster pace, close, not to the level of the Fran McCaffrey teams, but, more closer to that type of pace. But the style that Iowa play, like you look at the way like Tavion Banks plays, like it's super easy to root for someone like that who just leaves it on the court every single time. Like if there was a statistic for most time spent on the floor this season, like I would have to think Tavion Banks would lead that category, because he leaves it out there. He plays his heart out. And that's kind of, that's common throughout the team. So I think part of what has gotten that buy-in from the fan base is, one, Ben McCollum is someone that people can gravitate to and someone that they can, I feel like, being from Iowa, kind of see some of themselves in a little bit and, see the similarities. But also just the fact that Iowa plays so hard. They have the buy, and they have guys that clearly care in this NIL era, where that necessarily isn't always the case, where you see that real motor and that drive. So I think those factors have helped kind of cement that people, or, bring people back to the program and get that belief start moving in the right direction.
Tyler Tachman from the Des Moines Register joining us right now, and off there with Matt Randazzo. Tyler, let's talk about what we saw on the floor itself and kind of combining the two games. I guess we'll start with Maryland. That 21-0 run reminded me of, obviously, the Ohio State first game when it was 30-4 or whatever, where we were sitting there thinking, oh no, this could be bad news. And the next thing you know, they led comfortably at halftime. And they've done that. And I think you've kind of referenced it already. The game to game is kind of up and down. The in-game, the extremes in-game is crazy. Tyler, when they play well, they're really, really good. They're high level good. Why was that? What made that 21-0 run? What's the difference in that basketball that you don't see? Is it simply making shots? Are they more connected on the defensive end? When you see them have runs the way they do, what's the difference in that basketball team in between maybe the one we see more often than not?
That's a great question, because I'm guessing that Ben McCollum is probably searching for the same answer. But what I can offer, and this is a little bit of a bigger picture perspective on it, but like to me, that's just the result and byproduct of a program that's in a first season in a head coach in his first season at the program. Like, you're gonna have those kind of drastic inconsistencies when you're trying to get a program off the ground, get people to buy into, or not buy into, but just get it to where Ben McCollum wants it to be. Like, those are just the growing pains. Those are the growing pains that honestly I expected to see more of, like, earlier in the season, and we didn't see a whole lot of them, like, until, that's really started to become more prevalent after the calendar turned to 2026. But the loss to Maryland, the loss to Penn State, those were some of the things that I think I expected to see more of entering the season, just because you had, I know you bring people from Drake, but this is just a whole new experiment. This is a whole new thing. And that's just going to happen under a first-year head coach when you don't have that foundation in place. Like, that's part of building the foundation. So I think that's part of it. And Ben McCollum, what he'll reference is, like, building the daily habits, like the daily habits in practice, making sure that you're ready every single day, so that in those types of games you can find a way to win. And, like against Penn State, and making sure that Iowa's talent is what Ben McCollum says is their ability to be ready. Like, they're not going to be the biggest, strongest, fastest, anything like that. Their talent is the ability to be tuned up, ready to go, have intensity, stuff like that. So if they're not quite all the way there, then then you kind of see these drastic swings, maybe from a game to game and even within a game. So I just look at it as, this is just the growing pains that you have to deal with a first-year head coach who's trying to lay the foundation of what he wants to build.
Tyler, can you tell me what happened in the end of the Ohio State game? And obviously they fell behind, grinded back. Great job getting back into it, having a chance. Timeout called, play drawn up. I don't know where you're at in the arena or what you saw, and then obviously what you talked to. The Hausen shot wasn't close. I don't know if that's what they drew up. Just what happened in your mind in the last 30 seconds of that basketball game?
Yeah, I think on the surface with the Hausen shot, like, it would be very easy to watch that in real time and be like, what the heck is going on? Because, in real time, it looked like a pretty wild shot. It bounced off the top of the backboard, wasn't even close. But Ben McCollum after the game called it a vet move, and this is the explanation of it, is that Iowa was down by 3. They knew Ohio State was going to try to foul, put them on the line to shoot free throws. And Brendan Hawson said after the game, like, he heard Ohio State saying coming out of the huddle that they were going to foul. And they knew it was going to be tough to get it to Bennett Sturts. And if they got it to him, that he was just going to be fouled. So they were going to try to, knowing that Ohio State was going to try to foul, put up a 3 to try to draw a foul and get 3 free throws. So that's basically what Brendan Hawson was trying to do. And he said he felt like he got fouled. Ref, missed the call. Obviously it wasn't called, but on the surface it looked like kind of a very perplexing decision, but there was actually more that went into it than that. And unfortunately no foul was called, and the shot was way off, but the intent, I think, was right behind what Brendan Hawson was doing. The execution just wasn't there. And then they got another chance at it. They got another 3-point attempt because Ohio State wasn't able to convert on the free throw. Then Fulgaris went to the line, missed the front end of the 1-and-1, and they got the rebound. And Isaiah Howard had a really good look at it, just wasn't able to fall like Cale Combs was able to get done against Nebraska.
Tyler, you look at some positives that come out of Chicago. Cooper Koch is one of them. He's been that way the last couple weeks, probably. He went through it, man. We know it. We talked about it. I think he was 3 of 35 or 8 of 35 in a 6-game stretch. He's one of my favorite guys. I've gotten to know him a little bit as well, so I'm a little biased. But watching that guy come out of it and shoot it the way he did is encouraging for Iowa moving forward, not just this season, but the future as well. Your thoughts on what you've seen from Cooper? And I'll say that, like, he didn't shoot it enough in the Ohio State game, which is probably by design, because Ohio State probably identified a guy that's been shooting it pretty well over the last several games. Your thoughts on Cooper Koch of late?
Yeah, and those guys are going to get opportunities just because there's so many eyes on Bennett Sturts and so much attention put on trying to stop him. And I'll even take it a step further than Cooper. I feel like Iowa's supporting cast around all the players around Bennett Sturts have really been stepping up and playing well. And that was kind of a question earlier this season of like, oh, look, Bennett Sturts has been incredible, but like, can Iowa get enough help around him? And I feel like over the last few games, the supporting cast has done a great job. Cooper Koch has been a part of that. But then the way Cam Maniow played against Michigan, and then you look at the way Cooper Koch played against Maryland, and then even against Ohio State, you had the way Alvaro Filgueres played in the second half. You'd like to see that for the full game, but the way that he was shooting it in the second half, Tate Sage, I thought, gave Iowa some really good minutes. So that is, I think, actually one of, and this final stretch of the season hasn't been great for Iowa. They've let some kind of slip out of their fingertips. And after that 6-game winning streak earlier in the season, they haven't been able to build that type of consistent momentum. But one of the things that I feel like has really come along is you get some guys that are playing better individually around Bennett Sturts. And that's when you can make guys pay for the way that they guard Bennett Sturts. And I mean, the Nebraska game is a prime example of that. Cale Combs, the way he played, Cooper Koch had a great game. So that to me is a sign of a reason to be optimistic about what Iowa can do in the NCAA tournament, because you have some of the supporting cast, it feels like, really starting to find their groove.
You mentioned it. I think 6 players had 8 points or more. Now, you didn't have a bunch of double-figure scorers, but when 6 players contribute 8 or more points in a basketball game, it's more balanced scoring. Tyler, am I crazy to think like this? Iowa could have grinded. Yeah, Iowa could have grinded out and tried to win a couple more games and had a great run. And you look at this team, I don't say they're tired, but Bennett Sturts doesn't sit down. Like, he just, that's the plain and simple, and he's a warrior and all of those kind of things. But you could have grinded out, maybe going from a 9 to an 8 seed or something like that by winning a few more games, or you can go home. It is what it is. The cake is baked. Rest. Get a weekend of rest in and get healthy and get ready for the NCAA tournament. Am I wrong to think that that wasn't the worst thing in the world yesterday, that they lost a basketball game after the game is now over?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the big thing was just beating Maryland. And once you did that, everything else kind of didn't have as great implications. So I think it would have been good to beat Ohio State, just because that might be the type of game that you're in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Like, it could be an 8-9 type feel, a 7-10, where you're playing kind of a team that maybe has more size than you. So being able to find a way to win that type of game, which Iowa has struggled a little bit recently, is finding ways to win those games late. But other than that, no, I agree with you. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that Iowa lost. You get another day of rest. And the thought of playing Michigan on a neutral court in the third game in 3 days against a Michigan team that was fresh, that could have been, that could have been a real taxing game on your body. Again, a team that's that big, that physical, 3 games in 3 days. I think for the sake of momentum, it would have been good to beat Ohio State. But from the perspective of getting some more rest and just coming back, being able to have a little bit more time to reset, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
A few more for Tyler Tachman before we let him go. You get the weekend off, so I don't want to keep it too long. Take me to Sunday. Give me your prediction. Did a podcast last night with Tom Kakert, the Hawkeye Report podcast, and we kind of talked about where they may be when you look at, the bracketology that's out there. What's your thought? What's your expectation come Sunday when Iowa inevitably hears their name called on Selection Sunday?
My guess would be between an 8 and a 10 seed, and it would be best for Iowa if they stay out of that 8-9 game, because then if you were to get past that first game, which, as a reminder, Drake won their first game last season. They upset Missouri, and they got to the round of 32. So this is very much in reach. But if you were to get past that first game as a 10, then you're playing, a 2 seed rather than a 1. And the 1 seeds this season are just absolute monsters. So if you can try to avoid that, then that would be the best case scenario, I think. And then the difference between, as a 10 playing a 7 versus an 8 and 9, they're all going to be kind of in a similar neighborhood. So it's not that much of a difference. So if I think best case scenario is that I don't think it's realistic for them to get a 7. I think it's probably more realistic for them to get a 10. So if they could get a 10, I think that would be the best case scenario. Now, and this is the thing about this debate here is that, like, the fact that we can have this debate is like a good problem for the way that Iowa basketball is trending, because it means that they're like projected to be in the NCAA tournament. So that's a clear step forward for the program. So I get the debate of like whether Iowa should be at 8, 9, 10, whatever, like what's the best, Iowa needs to get the best seeding line, etc. But like the fact that you can even have that conversation is a clear step in the right direction for the program, which hasn't made the NCAA tournament since 2023. And they've really, since winning the Big Ten tournament in 2022, they've struggled in the postseason. They've only won the win over Maryland was only their second win in the Big Ten tournament since they won it in 2022. They haven't won an NCAA tournament game since then. So, and I think they lost in that 2022. They flamed out after winning the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, they lost first round.
So it's there hasn't been great postseason success, and in the last 2 seasons, there was the NIT, but we don't really need to count that. But there hasn't been NCAA tournament success. So the fact that Iowa is back in there, regardless of whatever seed they get, is is movement in the right direction for the program.
Again, Iowa hasn't been to a Sweet 16 since 1999. It's been way too long. Tyler, what year were you born?
2001.
Oh my! Iowa has never been to a Sweet 16 in Tyler Tachman's lifetime. Last question for you.
We went over that. I think we went over that before.
I know.
So
I just wanted to reiterate how crazy it does feel.
Would it help if I said I was born in 1990? Or
it would help. Well, at least
would it make you feel better?
Here's what makes me feel bad is I was in college when they were in the Sweet 16 and you weren't even alive. I feel old. Yeah. The gray is standing out even more today. The last one for you, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit. I was just looking at it the other day because when Indiana got done, I saw Darren DeVries walk off the court. And during that process, I don't want to say I wanted Darren DeVries more than Ben McCollum, but it was a coin flip. And Iowa ultimately didn't have the decision. Indiana made the first decision. They got Darren DeVries. I looked at it too, like, hey, what transfer do you want coming along with him? And silly me, I think back then I was like, man, Tucker DeVries, I think, is a better basketball player than Bennett Sturts. Boy, was I an idiot. I'm glad I didn't say it out loud because Bennett Sturts is, I didn't realize how good Bennett was until he actually got to Iowa. I watched him enough last year, but I didn't watch him enough, if that makes sense. So long story short, long question short, a year out, and they'll go be tied to each other for a long time. And a lot can change. But after a year, advantage Iowa when it comes to who they got head coaching wise?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. But, well, I want to, like I said, you've seen how difficult it is to come in as a first-year head coach and win in the Big Ten. Like that's been very clear this season, and the fact that Ben McCollum has been able to do what he has when you can kind of measure it up against other programs. I mean, if there was a newcomer coach of the year in the Big Ten, and there isn't that award, but if there was, Ben McCollum would win it. And I think part of what Indiana struggled with was simply the roster build. Like there was major roster building flaws in what Darren DeVries did. They didn't have enough size, and Iowa kind of was in a similar dilemma, but I think they handled it a little bit better and were able to kind of manage through that much better than Indiana was. And yeah, I mean, the thing that's hard about this is that I think it's so easy to make like snap judgments. So I'm like, oh, after year one, Iowa won that decision or whatever you want to call it. And like, Jerome Tang at Kansas State, like he had an incredible first season with the Wildcats, and now he's no longer their head coach just a few seasons later. So, I'd like to see this play out, longer to see. But that said, like I'm very optimistic about what Ben McCollum is going to build at Iowa. And like the people I've talked to around the program, like are like 100% in on the fact that Ben McCollum is going to build something special at Iowa. And you've seen flashes of it in year one. The foundation is set, and then, looking forward to the future, like it's going to be, the off season. Can you find a way to continue building on it? Can you find a way to continue on this upward trajectory for the program after a promising year one, but there's still more basketball to be played this season before then?
No, absolutely. Tyler, enjoy the St. Patrick's Day weekend, Friday, Saturday. You smile. Don't smile too big when I say that.
Well, no,
Sunday.
I smile because I'm probably going to be sleeping a lot. So
There's nothing wrong with that.
catching up on some
I
rest.
always told my wife back in the day when I was covering it on the ground and boots on the ground that like Selection Sunday was different because it wasn't just like where's Iowa going, it's where I am going, and that's the same
Yep.
way for you. So it's almost like where's vacation going to be? Greenville, South Carolina, or whatever it may be. Enjoy Selection Sunday. I know I'll bug you next week at times, and tell people because Chad is as busy as can be doing what he does. You do an amazing job. Everybody there does a great job. Tell people here in the Quad City area how they get your content and what you're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, hawkcentral.com, on X at Tyler_T15.
Love it. Love it. Tyler, enjoy the weekend. Get some sleep. We'll catch up soon.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, that is Tyler Tachman from the Des Moines Register. Iowa's done in the Big Ten tournament. They'll come home and rest. The beat writers will do the same, and then we'll find out Sunday where everyone's going and get ready for a fun Selection Sunday as well. From Iowa, who's done in their conference tournament, to two teams still playing, Illinois and Iowa State. We'll chat about them on a busy Friday edition of Off Day with Matt Randazzo. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. It is Friday the 13th. I don't know if you're superstitious or anything like that. I'm not that superstitious. So Friday the 13th, not a big deal to me. It's also St. Patrick's Day weekend. So plenty to celebrate, plenty to do this time of year. Of course, we talked with Tyler Tachman about the Iowa Hawkeyes in our first segment. Iowa done for the weekend. Sunday will be important. Selection Sunday will be a little different for Iowa fans, something they haven't experienced in the last several years. But it's the same old for a couple of our local teams. We'll talk Illinois coming up in the next segment, but the Iowa State Cyclones are in the Big 12 semifinals once again down in Kansas City. And, of course, down in Kansas City joining them as well is Jake Brend from the Cyclone Fanatic, a man amongst the people. How is Kansas City? And it's a good schedule for you because I've been in your shoes. I loved early games at conference tournaments.
Oh, they're the best.
Why are they the best, Jake?
Well, people watch your stuff.
Yes.
So like these 8:30 games, you can work really hard, but you're still posting some stuff at like 2 a.m, and it's just not going to get as much traction. So, I mean, yesterday I pretty much worked nonstop until 8 o'clock and then went and had a beer.
Yes, a beer. I'm not going to lie to you, Jake. One of the best parts of the early swing for us is, and I always went to the Big Ten tournament with Scott Weiss, is the early stuff. I was done with my stuff, sent in, and we were partaking in alcoholic beverages for the vast majority of the evening. So that was the fun part of the tournament. And the cool thing is everybody's kind of in the same boat because you're out there covering it with people you know, a lot of familiar faces and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of the camaraderie when it comes to the business as well. How is Kansas City when it comes to being Hilton South like it always is? It looked like it was on TV. How is it around the town and that place? Iowa State fans just flock to Kansas City each year, don't they?
Oh yeah. So you know the Mr. Brightside tradition of it hits the beat and everyone goes FKU. Well, last night we were at a piano bar. They played Mr. Brightside 4 times just to play to the crowd, and the lead singer was wearing a Kansas shirt and she was chanting FKU. So it's been a total Cyclone takeover. It was a really, really good atmosphere yesterday. The Wednesday atmosphere was good, not great. I don't think many fans expected to play that Wednesday game. So there were a lot of people that bought tickets to go down Thursday that made it. And now that they got to Friday, that's where the fun starts. I'm sure if you were on I-35 southbound right now, it's filled with Iowa license plates heading down to Kansas City. And I expect a good contingent tonight. However, Kansas is still alive in that second game. If your boy Brock Harding would have done the deed and knocked KU off last night, it would have been a heavy Cyclone crowd
for
tonight.
For a while,
it looked like
pretty decent. It was looking pretty decent. Jake Brend joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And if you are heading down, and who's not listening to Off the Air as they go from Ames, Iowa to Kansas City? I'm huge in that corridor, like enormous. So I'm sure a lot of people are listening to the show.
Big in Clark
right
County.
Huge. So when you look, but there was a game, and I think the overriding story for Iowa State so far, the first 2 games, is just domination. I mean, game one is game one, but yesterday, you and I had talked a little bit during the day yesterday. I loved Iowa State yesterday. People don't go to Hilton Coliseum and win very often, especially when they're, and I mean this with all respect to Texas Tech, they're not the better team. If that makes sense. If they have their best player, if Toppin's playing, then it's very debatable. We can have that conversation. We were all surprised that they went to Hilton Coliseum and won. And then it was almost like a gift from the basketball gods that you get to play them again so soon. I love them going in, and they were dominant yesterday. What did you like? What did you see from this team? Not just yesterday, but the first 2 games of this tournament.
Yeah, I loved the spot as well. Everything's set up perfect. Going in, but the start, it looked kind of like deja vu. It felt like I was back at Hilton Coliseum from 2 weeks ago, where Tech was getting every 50-50 ball. They were being more physical. They were hitting every open shots. Lawan Watts, who does not shoot, he made a dagger at Hilton on a knuckleball. He made another early 3 yesterday. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen again? But TJ Outsberger called a timeout early, which he normally doesn't do that. And he led into the team because Joshua Jefferson came out with a different level of intensity after that, especially rebounding and defensively. And Iowa State controlled the game. Control isn't even fair. They completely obliterated them the rest of the game, 70-36 after TJ Outsberger called that early timeout. That's domination over a team that's going to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
It's a sight that Iowa State fans love to see, and they always play well there. But there was the end of the season and losing 3 or 4, whatever it was, 3 or 5. The losses towards the end of the season. Again, none of them bad losses, but to see them get back on track, and not just get back on track, but the way they're doing it. What have you liked on the floor wise about this team the last 2 games? And you can even go back to senior to second half, especially at senior day. What are you seeing right now that you need to see with the maybe the more important tournament coming up next week, but also a big weekend here in the semifinals and maybe finals?
Yeah, they're doing the controllables, which this entire season, like, there's been points where you're concerned that why is effort and energy a question, and why are teams punching Iowa State, not vice versa? And I think a lot of that comes down to Iowa State has built this reputation, and they've built a brand. Everybody knows what style of basketball Iowa State's going to play. So I think this season we've seen teams show up and be like, we're going to outdo them at their game. And it's taken an adjustment to get to that point. However, now that it's win or go home, we're going to go back to Ames in this instance. I think Iowa State is finding ways to make sure that they are the ones doing that each and every time out. And that's how this team hits their ceiling. You can't control if Milan Momcilovic goes 6 of 10 from 3. He went 1 of 6 yesterday. I'd be willing to bet that tonight he doesn't make one shot. So while you can't control that, you can control the rebounding. You can control getting on the floor for loose balls. You can control making the extra pass, and that's what this team is doing. And that's what they have to do if they want to make a run past the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. It's all of those controllables, and it's all of those little things that have made Iowa State basketball one of the best programs in the country for the last 3 seasons.
You look at the fact of what next week brings, this weekend and tonight brings really good matchups and possibly elite matchups. One, of course, already tonight. It is Arizona. Again, another team they've played recently, went to Arizona and didn't play well. And that's the first and foremost. They just didn't play well. I think that was the disappointing thing the first time Iowa State played at Arizona. It wasn't Iowa State's best self, if that makes any sense. What do you expect from tonight? Everybody looks at Arizona as one of those top 2-3 teams in the country. What would it mean for Iowa State to beat an Arizona? Can they get to a 1? They probably can't. Does it mean anything big picture, or is it more just, hey, we didn't play well and we want to win a Big 12 championship tonight against Arizona?
I think there's a lot of factors at play. I don't think Iowa State can get up to a 1. That seems far-fetched, but you could argue right now maybe they are on the 2 line, but it's maybe. I think a win over Arizona gets you on that 2 line for sure. So that's at play. You look at the percentages of teams that go to the Final Four on the 2 line compared to the 3. It's a pretty drastic difference. So you want to be a 2 seed. That's what makes this important. Another aspect, this team didn't have their best night at Arizona. And it's weird, and this will not sound right when I say it, but let me get there. If Iowa State plays the same way they did at Arizona, I think they'll win this game. Because I talk about those little things. I talk about the rebounding, the getting on the floor for loose balls, playing their butts off. They did that at Arizona. They just couldn't buy a shot to save their life. Like, nothing. Jefferson was 2 of 17 that game. Momcilovic couldn't get a shot. If they play as hard as they did and rebound as well as they did, I think Iowa State will have a chance at the end of this game. Now, that's really hard to do against Arizona, especially when you've played 2 games in 2 days already. The good news is you didn't have to expend a ton of energy yesterday in the second half against Texas Tech. So to be able to do that, I think this team showing themselves that they can play with Arizona is maybe the biggest factor at play tonight. If they can go out there, win the game, if they can go out there, be in a 5-point game in the final minute, that will prove to them, hey, this Arizona team very well could go win the national championship, and we played with them on a neutral court. I think the belief within the team, if they're able to do that, will pay dividends going forward.
Jake Brend from the Cyclone Report joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. You look at tonight's game, and it's a heavyweight battle here, and then of course the next game is really good as well when you have Kansas and Houston. Jake, I always and I think it's probably just the fact that it happened to Iowa, where they won the Big Ten tournament in 2022 and then lost in the first round. And so and I've seen it with Illinois. They won the Big Ten tournament and lost to Loyola in the second round of the tournament as a 1 seed. So, but this seems different. And the reason why for Iowa State is you mentioned not expending a lot of energy. The first 2 games were such blowouts that it hasn't seemed like a grind yet. So now all of a sudden, if I look at it as, boy, there's a 4-team little bracket to play, and it's over on Saturday instead of Sunday and all those kind of things, a little extra day. I think a lot of good reasons for Iowa State to go ahead and win this thing. Not that you don't want to win every game you play and all that kind of stuff. Is there something to that? Because I know sometimes conference tournaments and grinds can weigh on you, and it might not be the best for a team. This seems like everything is advantageous for the Iowa State Cyclones.
Yeah, I'm team win more games, win championships, win tournaments. The amount of fans that are down here are paying. Yes, they want to see Iowa State make a deep run in March. TJ Altenberger would tell you that I don't really think an early loss has any correlation. In fact, I think with this Iowa State team, the way that they rely on rhythm and confidence, I think the more success in Kansas City, the better. TJ Altenberger's best team 2 years ago ran through the Big 12 tournament, made the Sweet 16, ran into a really good Illinois team that was a bad matchup. And I really think, looking back at that game, Iowa State probably wins it 7 times out of 10. They had an off night. And that team was feeling so good. They were feeling so confident. I have no doubt that if this team were to make a Big 12 championship or were to win one, that it would be better for this team than if they would have lost to Texas Tech yesterday.
Do you do predictions this time of year? You always do. You're Jake Brend. You live on predictions. Yeah. Thoughts for tonight? You felt good about Texas Tech. Score prediction for tonight?
I feel pretty good about it, but I still think Arizona wins a close game. They've been in so many close games, and they've done it the right way. Iowa State hasn't been in a lot of close games. They've won a lot of games by a lot, and they've lost almost all of their games by near double digits. Oh, wow. So I think Iowa State plays well, hangs with them, but Arizona's the better team. But I've seen crazier things happen in this building. And I was here for the Big 12 championship against Houston a couple years ago, where I had this weird feeling of, I know Houston's the better team, but it's this building. There's a lot of momentum. And then Iowa State blasted them by 30. Yeah. So I've seen crazy things happen in this building. I would pick a narrow Arizona win. The nerdy betting stuff is good for Iowa State. Arizona minus 3.5 is the most bet spread right now. It's a total rat line. All the rubes, all the squares are definitely on Arizona, which that doesn't mean anything, but it gives you a slight lean for Iowa State to keep it a close game.
It doesn't mean anything, but it kind of does mean something, Jake, if you know what I'm talking about. Jake Brend joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. If I said to you this morning or tomorrow morning, hey, Jake, like Iowa State looked great last night. Wow, blank was awesome. What is blank? What person, what player, if Iowa State is to win tonight, what person are we talking about tomorrow with, wow, he just had a great game?
It's probably Milan Momcilovic. I know what we're going to get out of Taman Lipsy. I think he's playing the best basketball of his life right now. You don't beat top 3 teams if your best shooter, the best shooter in America, doesn't hit some shots. So I don't even think you need Milan to have a great game by his standards. He just needs to have a normal Milan game, go out, hit 4 or 5 threes, score 18 points, and that's how Iowa State will have a chance to be in this game. Now, you tell me he hits 7, then that's where we might be looking back at, wow, I can't believe Iowa State just beat Arizona by double digits and is going to go play for another Big 12 tournament championship. Milan's the guy.
What's the floor like there before I let you go? Did you go step on it?
Oh, it's terrible.
Is it like, can you explain it? Or is there a way to explain it?
It's, so like the multi-purpose, like gray kind of clay courts that are at field houses.
Yep.
It's not as slick as that, but it's closer to that than it is to hardwood. And then there's also like these glass panels are almost glued together, and I think those are getting worn down. Like there wasn't that much slippage in the Iowa State Arizona State game a couple days ago. That would have been the 5th game that was played on the floor. Yesterday in the Texas Tech game, I swear Tachman Lipsey slipped 15 times.
Wow.
It was getting worn down. The BYU Houston game, there were a lot of sliding. So I think Commissioner Yormark made the right call in getting rid of the court. I honestly commend him for doing it, because
I thought it looked cool.
It looks cool in person. I don't like the gray, but that's besides the point. I'm sure the court they'll have tonight will be I'm sure it'll be the Louis Vuitton court from last year, but as long as it doesn't affect the play, that's where all of this ends. Looks can be cool or whatever, but it's pretty clear the glass was changing how the game was played, and you don't want that. You don't want players getting hurt. You don't want it to affect the product. So I commend Yormark for saying, hey, we spent a lot of money on this. We tried it out, but it's not working, so we're going to go to a hardwood surface.
Before I let you go, you're in Kansas City. You've been there several times. Is it barbecue? Are we doing barbecue? Do you have a barbecue spot?
I haven't gotten barbecue yet. I usually do when I come down here. I like it all. Q39 is really good. It's barbecue.
Yeah.
We'll see how quick I work today over lunch. Maybe I'll go and get some lunch over. Maybe I'll go and get some brisket. That sounds really good.
Man.
Maybe they have barbecue. Maybe they have barbecue here too. It won't be the same.
Do they treat you well at the Big 12 tournament? Do they have the complimentary everything?
Yeah, free meals. That's why I haven't been out, because I've eaten every meal so far at the tournament. I've pretty much been there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from morning to night. So I've just eaten lunch and dinner there both days. But today I'm not there for lunch, so maybe that's when I'll go out and get something nice.
There you go. Before you go, Cyclone Fanatic, I see stuff all the time. I'm watching stuff all the time. I know you caught up with Tachman Lipsey's family recently. Tell us about what you can get at Cyclone Fanatic right now.
Yeah, I'll have a story next week. I'm interviewing Tachman's wife, so awesome. I'm going to do a little feature story on that next week. But right now on Cyclone Fanatic at YouTube, we have so much locker room content. That's my favorite thing about this tournament, or just the postseason in general, is you go from after these games, you get 3 guys on the podium after, and they're good, but it's not as personable. Once you get into the postseason, you go into the locker room. So I'm pretty much interviewing 7 or 8 players after these games. It's all on YouTube. You can't miss it. It's a lot of good stuff, and these guys get to show their personality a little bit more. They're fun dudes.
I love it. Jake, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for being flexible with me. Thank you for always coming through and talking Cyclones with us. We'll bug you again next week, whatever that holds. The next leg of your vacation season comes up next week. Who knows? Maybe just an easy one to St. Louis. Is that your thoughts? Is St. Louis 2 seed?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it wasn't St. Louis.
So who's the 2 seed in St. Louis?
Well, I think Illinois and Iowa State will both be there.
Both be there as 2s.
Even if Iowa State's a 3, I think they'll still be in St. Louis.
Where was this when I was in TV? Where was this when I was in local TV? Where I could just say to my bosses, hey, 2 of our teams are 3 hours away. And they'd say, cool, go. I'd have to be like, well, they're in Buffalo.
Providence.
Yeah, all this kind of Seattle, everything else in between. Jake, I always appreciate you. Get some food, and we'll check you really. We'll see you again later. What? That was really good. Great transition. Jake, get out of here. Get out of here.
See you, Dazo.
See you, buddy. I forgot how to talk for a second. Jake Brend joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. The Cyclone fanatic and Cyclone fans, I see them all around, and I know several. And they enjoy seeing Jake on the show. Iowa fans get cranky sometimes when Jake's on the show, but that's okay. But his content is awesome, and what they do at Cyclone Fanatic is awesome. I'm not breaking any news if you're a Cyclone fan. If you're a Cyclone fan, you're probably already on there. But if you're not, do it. I mean, it's a no-brainer if that's the case. So a lot more to get to on the show. We got Hawkeyes, check. Cyclones, check. The Illini, next. Kedric Prince, they have a game coming up in 2.5 hours, something like that, against Wisconsin. We'll preview it for you and what this weekend means for Illinois. Is it a big deal? Is it important, or is it that tournament next weekend that's way more important? We'll talk with Kedric Prince about that and a bunch more as I figure out how to talk, and we'll be back right here on OTA. For over 65 years, Linquist Ford has proudly served the Quad Cities, and they're just getting started. Looking for a new ride? Check out a healthy mix of new and quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Need service? Skip the waiting room. With free pickup and delivery and mobile service, they come to you. No delays, no hassle. From routine maintenance to a full-service collision repair shop, it's fast, friendly, reliable, and always transparent. Linquist Ford, serving the Quad Cities since 1959. Experience the difference today.
Hey, I'm the Crawford guy.
Ooh, do you guys always speak at the same time?
Sorry, guys. I'll go first. You know, if you need help with your heating or air conditioning, or electrical, or plumbing, Crawford Company can solve your problem.
But what about your problem?
What problem?
Do you not hear yourselves? Take it from me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Crawford is the comfort company.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. The Big Ten Tournament once again taking center stage in Chicago. It's day 4 of the Big Ten Tournament, but day 1 for the Fighting Illini. That's what happens when you're one of the top 4 seeds. The Illini will take on Wisconsin this afternoon around 1:30 at the United Center. And here to talk more about it is our good friend Kedric Prince. Ked, how are you on a Friday here in the Quad Cities?
It's good to be rested if you're an Illinois fan, because you have 4 days worth of rest, and they need it. They really do need it.
Yeah, you look at it, Ked, and it's one of those things where you kind of get that big benefit. Is it fun for fans to kind of sit back and watch everybody kind of beat up on each other, and knowing that you don't have to worry about basketball till Friday? Or are you one of those people that you wish your team was playing? Let's go.
No, I don't. This sounds really bad, but like the first couple of days, the teams are not good, and there's not a lot of fans. I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's not entertaining to me. I watched some of it because it was Big Ten, and I love basketball. I know the season's about almost over, but no, yesterday's games were a lot better. They were obviously, teams were a little bit better, and the fan support was a little bit better. So I was more intrigued in yesterday's, and today, obviously, Saturday and Sundays would be more entertaining for my liking.
Yeah, you look at it today, it's Illinois and Wisconsin. Before we get to that, how do you approach the Big Ten tournament? I feel like I've evolved a little bit where it's big, it's important, and it's all those kind of things. But I think it was when Iowa won it, and then lost to Richmond the next very first round of the NCAA tournament, I was like, I wonder if it was worth it. And there was a year when Illinois won it and they lost to Loyola in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Are you a big proponent, or do you get into the Big Ten tournament? Obviously you want to win every game you go play. But how important is the Big Ten tournament for you?
It's not. I mean, I don't care one way or the other. I don't like the Big Ten tournament. I know it's about making money. They can say it's not, but it is. And when I see teams celebrate, yes, it's great to see your team up there and they win 2 or 3 games to win a tournament. But that doesn't do anything. It's the whole season for me. You could be the 5th best team or the 6th best team in the Big Ten and get hot and win 3 games and you won a tournament. So what? I mean, that's like going to Maui or whatever, some other tournament that you won. And I'm not that impressed with it. I know why they do it. The Big Ten was one of the last conferences to do it. It's just, to me, and I think as far as teams, it may help some teams, but you look at the top 4 or 5 teams in the Big Ten or any conference like that, it doesn't matter because those teams are going to be in the tournament. Their seeds are pretty much set to begin with. I mean, like I tell people all the time, if you think I'm kidding, most of the tournaments are done on Saturday. The Big Ten is the only one that's going on Sunday, right? With championship games on Sunday. Yeah. The game will probably be over at 5 o'clock. So at 5:01, the seeds are already out. They're done. So it doesn't matter. I mean, there's proof right there. It doesn't matter to some teams. So if Illinois gets beat to me today, they're still going to be a 2 or 3 seed possibly. It doesn't matter if they go out, they win it. If they win the Big Ten tournament, they're not going to be a 1 seed. That's my thought on it. I've seen it happen too many times. So this isn't just me saying that that giving my opinion, but I've seen it happen too many times.
Yeah, you look at it, Ken, and I think the cake is probably already baked for a lot of this. Now, maybe when it comes to a bubble team that needs to get in, it might help to win a game and all that. But when you're a team like Illinois and you have the resume they already have, my thought is maybe this afternoon's game is the difference between a 2 and a 3. Maybe if they win today, you're shaking your head. Do you think the seeds?
I think they're 2 no matter what. I think they're going to be 2 because all the other losses and how Illinois finished. And the one thing with them, and I'm not being a homer, they don't have a bad loss. This is the first time in I don't know how long they don't have a bad loss. Everybody they've lost to those games, they're on the tournament and with great seeds. They lost at home to Wisconsin. Wisconsin played great. They're in the tournament. They're playing them again. They lost to Nebraska on the last second shot, 3 overtime games. And so they're going to get a 2 seed more than likely because of the conference. They should definitely be ahead of Purdue on all means. But I've seen some, places out there they have Purdue ahead of them. I'm not disliking and hating on Purdue, but that's mind-boggling to me. But anyway,
Ken, I got to jump in real fast because Purdue. How can Purdue be a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament when they're a 7 seed in the Big Ten? That was the most surprising thing when I looked at the brackets when they came out. Not that they came out, like there wasn't a reveal, but you look at the Big Ten brackets at the beginning and you're like, Purdue's a 7 seed? Like Wisconsin and UCLA are seated ahead of them. There's no way Purdue can be seated higher than Illinois in the NCAA tournament. Is there?
There shouldn't be. And I told you, I believe last time on your podcast here, Google's free. You go Google Purdue schedule and tell me who they beat in the non-conference schedule that was really, really good. Illinois' Texas Tech win seemed to be large. I mean, Illinois' Tennessee win seems to be big. So I don't understand. I know that you don't put a team or give a team a seed this year based because you like the coach or because of the history of a program. It doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. They shouldn't be a 2 seed. They struggle down the stretch. It is what it is, and I don't care. People don't like it. It's too bad. They shouldn't be. If Illinois would have lost a couple more games, I was telling people even on your podcast that they could have slipped up. I thought they could have been a 3 or 4 seed. And people looked at me like I was stupid. But you can't lose games that you should win. I mean, Maryland played Illinois really, really well last Sunday. I thought that they would have lost. That probably could have put them on that 3 seed line. And then if you lose to Wisconsin today, you might have been teetering on that 3 line. But right now, I think they're firmly a 2. And the tournament teams like Iowa and Ohio State, those kind of teams, I think it just solidified. I don't think it's going to hurt them, but I think it just solidified that they're in the tournament.
Yeah, I think Iowa's in. I think Ohio State's in. Boy, the bubble's bad this year, Ken. I mean, I know you don't look down at the bubble when you're Illinois and you're 2 seed and all that stuff, but there's some bad basketball teams that are supposedly on the bubble. That's why you got to feel safe if you're an Iowa team, an Ohio State team. They tried to sell that on Thursday as Iowa, Ohio State. Both teams needed to get into the tournament. No, they're in the tournament. They're already in. Obviously, they needed to maybe better seed, all that kind of stuff, but they were in. Kedric Prince joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Will it excite you if I tell you that the Big Ten tournament could be like a revenge tour for Illinois? Because you look at it, they lost to Wisconsin in overtime. Y'all don't like Michigan. And then maybe a Michigan State team that you lost to in overtime that was feisty and dirty and everything else up in East Lansing. I don't want to say you're vindictive, Ked, but you like a little redemption or revenge every now and then.
I am. I don't know about the team, but I'm definitely that way. I will tell you what. People know what I do for a living outside of my other daytime job, and I talk to parents, I talk to recruits, and I bet you probably 3 or 4 of the kids, if there was any team they wanted to play again, they're not overlooking Wisconsin and possibly Michigan. They want to play Michigan State again. I'm telling you, those parents, they say their kids want to play Michigan State again. Illinois should be concerned about Wisconsin. You have to take care of business with them first, and I can see the revenge tour, as you mentioned it, because Wisconsin beat Illinois. And Illinois played good. Wisconsin just shot the ball well, like they did yesterday. I'm going to tell you, if Illinois doesn't run them off the 3-point line, I think they could potentially get beat. Illinois hasn't shot the ball well, and I'm concerned about it. They have not shot the ball well the last 3 or 4 games, and I don't know. I think Coach Underwood mentioned that Caden Wagler was having some minor back issues, and then a friend told me to go back and watch the game, and I think he was wearing a brace. That's a concern for me, and people are asking me how and why. I'm not going to turn this into a Big Ten officiating thing, but I think that kid has just been beat, man, and I really want him to go to the NBA. I hope he's healthy enough. Don't come back to Illinois. Don't come back to college. I don't think he got the benefit of calls or some fair whistles, and I think the kid's just beat up and he's tired. You can see it, and so to me, I'm concerned about their shooting. They've not shot it well, and if you don't shoot it well today against Wisconsin, if they're hot, they're going to get beat by 15 to 20 because Wisconsin is, when they're good, think about it. Wisconsin is probably the most dangerous team in the Big Ten, and I'm going to tell everybody why. Michigan has one loss that came to Wisconsin at Michigan. They came to Champaign, and they beat Illinois. Wisconsin is a dangerous basketball team.
You look at it, and Wisconsin has something that nobody else has in the Big Ten, and it's that victory, and it's probably the most impressive victory of the year. You mentioned Keaton Wagler, and I had Jim Edson on the show on Thursday, and he mentioned since UCLA, he hasn't been amazing. It's not been bad by any stretch, but and I asked him, like, is it the freshman wall? You mentioned kind of what I look at, where the Big Ten, you play in the Big Ten long enough, you're just going to get beat up, and you see what they do. There's teams that put I think the big guy for Michigan, Yaxenborg, or whatever his name is. Help me out.
Yeah.
When I think he guarded him. He's what, 6'8", 2. I mean, they're putting bigger guys on him and beating him up a little bit.
So here's my thing. I've noticed the last few games with Keaton, he's deferred a lot. And I started the UCLA game. He started deferring, and then the second half. You know, he reminded me of, and I'm not comparing him to Michael Jordan, so don't freaking at me and stuff. But Michael Jordan used to always defer because he wanted to get his teammates involved. And I saw Keaton do that a little bit to UCLA game. Then I started seeing him do it more and more. Then the second half of games, he tried taking over. I don't care who guards him. It doesn't matter from Michigan or Michigan State, because I think, and you can go back and watch games, and I'm not going to show film clips, he is not getting calls. Go back, and I'll put it on my Twitter. I think it already is on my Facebook. You go back, Brad Underwood walked out of a press conference about officiating. He's complained about it. He's not getting the calls. And nobody's expecting him to be Michael Jordan or Larry Bird to get treatment like that. But you can clearly see that these teams are following him, bumping him, and pushing him. He's on the floor a lot more. They don't call fouls. And I don't care. I have a lot of friends who that are officials. I don't care if you'd ever talk to me again. I could care less about it this at my age. I don't care if you unfriend me on social media. There are some really good officials out there. I'm telling you, I can name a few of them that are good, but there are some out there who are there for a damn paycheck. And the same thing happens in college basketball. I listened to during the Women's Big Ten Network last week when the women played, and it was official. She said it. They know the coaches. They know the style of play. So teams that are aggressive, they're going to get calls. Teams that are passive, teams that are set picks. Do you know how demoralizing that is to hear that? Because you're going to punish certain teams for what they do. So don't tell me it doesn't come into play. So I think he's tired. I know they're never going to say it. And I'm concerned if he has a sore back because that's going to affect Illinois, especially if other players aren't playing well. So we'll see. I don't until they start shooting the ball better, Matt. I do have some concerns.
It's funny because I kind of see the same thing with Bennett Sturts a little bit, where some teams have gotten to the point where they can't call every foul, and that's not an excuse. I'm not putting that out there to be like an excuse.
But like, question. Matt, stop. I'm not interrupt you. Why can't you? If they're fouling, why can't you do it? I don't care if the fans don't like it. If they're fouling, why can't? Because then you're punishing. You're punishing a kid who's great. Forget Keaton. We're talking Bennett because I watch this game. Everybody knows the thing with Ivan Illinois. You have to stop one guy. I will have some decent complementary players. Don't misunderstand me. But if you know you have one guy and they're going to foul him, damn it, you call fouls. If he shoots 25 free throws, it's not his fault because teams are doing that, and I don't like that.
I agree with you. I completely agree. I think that's the thought process of some of these teams. It's like, hey, we're just going to muddy this thing up. We're gonna get so. And you're right, they should, but referees don't, unfortunately, and it gets kind of muddied up, and that's where he's just been kind of been physical with him, and it hasn't looked the same the last couple of weeks. Kedric Prince joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Who's the X factor for the Illini? Not just this week in Chicago, but next week maybe in St. Louis, the week after that, wherever this thing goes. It's easy to say Keaton Wagler, and I get that he's one of the best players in the country and all those kind of things. Who's your X factor? Who's that guy that's got to play well if Illinois is going to make a long run in the NCAA tournament?
I couldn't answer fast enough, but I have a answer, and I do. I'm not going to renege on it, but I have one that's right underneath him.
Okay.
The guy that needs to play well is Andres Stojakovic. They didn't bring him there to do what he's doing. He has been up and down. He's had great games, bad games. They need him to be special in the tournament. And the other guy is Tomislav Ivičić. I think there was a statistic that he is 2 for his last 19 from 3. His brother, Zonomir, is 4 for his last 17. Do the math. They have to make shots. So Andre's the guy because I think teams don't know what they're going to get with him. I think he could be really, really special in the tournament because hasn't done it lately, but this is a guy that averaged 18 points a game when he came to Illinois. And I don't know if it fits him well, the system, because he doesn't shoot it as well as some of the other players. But I think Andre's the guy. But if it was a close second, it would be Tomislav because the last few games offensively, he has been a major disappointment to me.
Does the location of the Big Ten tournament help Illinois when it comes?
No.
And I think because Indianapolis is just as close. Your thoughts on that and if it helps the Illini? I'm trying to think the years they've won. I know they won in Indianapolis. I believe they won once in Chicago as well. I was covering them. Everyone says I'm a homer, but I was covering Illinois when they won those the Big Ten championships. Your thoughts on Chicago? I don't like it there, but I get
you do or don't.
As a media member, as a person that goes Indianapolis. I'm telling you, people, if you haven't been, Indianapolis they should just knock it off, leave it there. Keep it there. It's perfect for everybody. But, I mean, I do think Indiana and Purdue to an extent have a little bit of an advantage. Illinois travels everywhere, and it's an easy trip for Illinois to Indianapolis as well. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. You don't think Illinois has a little advantage in Chicago with the fans?
Go back and see the game when they played against Alabama. It didn't work out for them then. No, it doesn't. This is a different day and age. Those teams are going to travel. And kids, back in the 80s and 90s when Jeff Sellers played and all those other players, home court advantage mattered. These kids could, man, I think Illinois was 9-2 or 8-2 on the road this season. Think about that. They were literally 8-2. Nobody cares about that anymore. So to me, that's not an advantage. Illinois is going to travel, like you said. I like the idea of the United Center, but I do not like it. If you're a media guy, that I remember my first time being there, I was so far up, I thought I was giving God high fives.
Yeah.
Because it was the worst seat in the world, and I thought I was being punished. I'm like, well, I'm kind of new in the business at this. Maybe it's because I'm new. And then you look right next to you, and everybody else is sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's not worth going to cover a game if you can't see the people. I mean, you can see it on TV and get all the press clippings online. What is the point? They need to do better. I think all the schools, personally, and this is a compliment to the University of Illinois, they are one of the most classiest people to have people on press row down there so you can hear and see and get everything and get access. Some of these other things, I've been to Iowa City. I don't like it, but it's not a bad look. It really isn't. But I think if these places are going to remodel these stadiums and or these arenas, get your press down there so they can see. They are there for reasons. They are there to promote your program so people know what's going on. But anyway, I'm not a fan of the United Center. And I always heard the shooting background I always did, even though Wisconsin shot the heck out of it yesterday.
Yeah, I think you get used to it. I think it's definitely different. I'm trying to think. Last time I was in Chicago, a couple Big Ten tournaments ago, I was my last one that I went to, and we usually got to sit down on the court side, and then for the Big Ten tournament, and I found out just today, Tommy told me that everybody's up top of the first segment of the first 100 level, so it's not way up there, but then the overflow goes way up. So, and I agree, like it's nice to be close to the action.
It's because the people with the money are paying close to them on the floor. And I get it, I understand it, but you're not losing money in Chicago. Because when you bring the teams in with Illinois, Purdue, and Indiana, Michigan State, those fans are going to travel. So you're not going to have empty seats.
I did hear tickets for the Iowa game on Thursday was they were not expensive. I have buddies in the Chicagoland area that decided, heck, let's go check out an Iowa basketball game. Took their kids, and it was not bad at all to get down there. Before I let you go, Ked, a couple more things. When is Illinois done this weekend? Do they make it to Sunday? Do they get to Michigan? Do they get past Wisconsin today? I think it was past Wisconsin today.
I think they're a better team than Wisconsin. I don't think they're beating Michigan again. I don't care about the rivalry. I really don't. If Illinois was playing really, really good basketball, and they could today, and they could Saturday, but I've not seen it. And you're not going to go beat a team like Michigan or Arizona. To me, those are the two best teams. I don't even think Duke is there. I think Michigan and Arizona are the best teams. You're not going to go beat Michigan shooting 24%, 25% from three because you're going to get beaten. If the officials don't help Keaton Wagler out, if he's on and getting him going, or if he can't get Andres Stojakovic going or Tommy, no, I don't see them getting there. And you know what? It's their own fault. If you don't want to play Michigan on Saturday, you shouldn't have lost at home to Wisconsin, and you should have beat UCLA. That's my thing.
Nope, absolutely right. Nope, you're exactly right. You mentioned Jess Settles. I love it. You guys are like the odd couple because you like each other, and you wouldn't think that like big old Jess and Ken would not liking each other when it comes to their teams. Y'all get along great. He called you out in the show the other day.
I listened to it. You know what?
He says you don't want to hang out.
When I listened to that show, it brought back a lot of memories for me because, you know, and people out there listening to the show were all at different ages and stages of our life. But I was so competitive. I mean, like, unhealthy competitive. I didn't like him. You know why I didn't like him? Because he was good, and he played hard, and he made me mad because he was good. And then about 6 years ago, I was sitting at home, and my phone just blew up. And everybody's like, Kid, Jess Settles talking about you on Big Ten Network. I'm like, what? And he really was.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know what? This dude is legit. And not just because of that. He's a really nice guy. I mean, I know what he does outside, and he really is. And he was on one of the Champagne stations a couple weeks ago. You grow up, you know, and I don't care if he's not. Some Illinois fans get mad because he roots for Iowa. What is he going to do? Hell, root for Indiana? He's supposed to do that. I'm an Illinois guy. You're an Iowa guy. Why do we have to hide it? This isn't the 80s anymore. It's a different day and age. You still have to be a good journalist. Don't get me wrong, but it's okay for Jeff to be able to be an Iowa fan. I'm cool with that. If he does a broadcast and he slightly favors Iowa, kudos to him. Guess what? He played there. He's one of the best players to ever play in Carver Hawkeye Arena. So
you know
I
what?
like him.
He does games against just outside the Big Ten. I think he's just he loves college basketball. He's like you. He's like me. He just can't get enough college basketball. Here's what I was going to tell you. I'm pretty sure Jess and company are going to tee it up at the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing this year. So
no way.
And so you need to make sure you're ready to rock. We maybe put you guys close to each other, something along those lines. So I convinced him.
2 weeks, Matt. 2 weeks, I'll be 100%, baby.
I love it. I love it. Ken, enjoy the basketball today. Enjoy the basketball this weekend. Good luck with everything. We'll catch up with you real soon. And we'll see what that Illini seating looks like come Selection Sunday. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. That is Kedric Prince joining us right here on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Again, it's the Illini and Wisconsin. A really good matchup. Really good day of basketball. Ohio State, Michigan start things off around 11, and then you go into Illinois, and the rest of the day is really good as well. My work week's almost done, and I'm going to meet some buddies after the show, and I'm going to watch college basketball for the next 9 hours. My wife's giving me a get out of jail free card. So I'm going to go watch a lot of basketball later on today. We got more to get to. The show's not done yet. We'll be back right here on OTA.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. Friday the 13th, Friday, March 13th, we're getting set for St. Patrick's Day weekend. Also, Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday. The Big Ten tournament, Big 12 tournament, all of these conference tournaments. A great time of year. Of course, now they're talking about a blizzard coming on Sunday and Monday. But whatever. Let the weather guys ruin everything. We're going to focus on sports and have a good time as well. Been a fun show. Before we let you go, wanted to mention congratulations to the Burlington Notre Dame basketball team. They lost yesterday in the state semifinals to St. Edmunds, 74-55. Really a fantastic season for the Nikes, so congratulations to them. Coming up today in Des Moines, all four classes will crown state champions. The number one seed is still alive in all four classes. It's 1 versus 2 in a pair, and then 1 versus 6 in a pair as well. So all eyes will be on Des Moines for state championships today for the high schoolers, and of course, same going on down in Champaign at the State Farm Center for the boys in Illinois as well. So a really fun time of year. I want to thank Tyler Tachman for joining me to start the show, kind of recapping Iowa's trip to Chicago, and then also looking ahead to what's to come. And it's Selection Sunday, and Iowa will be in the NCAA tournament for the first time in several years. So go back and check out Tyler Tachman if you missed that. His stuff is really, really good. Really blessed, like on both beats, all three beats, but the Iowa beat especially, like really good dudes that know what they're doing. And so when I want to talk Hawkeyes on the show, I can sit back and say, okay, Tom Kakert, John Bonenkamp, Tyler Tachman, Chad Leistico, Scott Docterman. I'm probably missing some in between, and I don't want to do that. Nicholas Bear is great to us as well. So Iowa football, there's a guy named Pat that comes on every once in a while. Gary Dolphin's been on. So the beat is great. The people are great. So we appreciate them for coming on our show. Tyler did a great job today. Thank you again to Jake Brend. They play at 6 o'clock. They as in like Jake is the coach of the team. The Cyclones play again at 6 o'clock against Arizona. Great matchup there. He joined us live in Kansas City, so kind of looking back at what the Cyclones have done and their dominance, and then looking ahead to what could be a really big weekend. Also, they're changing the floor down there, so no more glass floor, LED floor. I talked a little bit about that as well. And then, of course, Kedric Prince. The Illini tip it off in about 2 hours, so take some time, scroll back, check out what Ked had to say about the Illini. They play Wisconsin, revenge game. It could be Michigan, revenge game. It could be Michigan State, maybe revenge game. Could be Nebraska. They split, so it could be a busy weekend for Illinois. It could be done this afternoon. So with the weekend, obviously there'll be a 2 or 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, probably a 2 seed in St. Louis is most likely the case for the Fighting Illini. So a busy weekend of sports, a busy show. Want to thank you guys for watching today. Also, throughout the entire week, numbers have been great this week. Congratulations to the Maquoketa girls. Once again, if you missed that show on Monday, that was awesome. We talked some baseball and softball this week as well. Allie Meadows from Western Illinois on the show this week as well. So spend the weekend, if it does get snowy, watching college basketball, watching OTA, getting caught up, and then get ready for a big Monday show. The brackets will be out. We will break them all down, whether it's Iowa, Illinois, Iowa State. We'll figure it all out. The women too. So Monday and Tuesday shows are going to be really busy. We'll start our bracket challenge. So we'll have a lot to do when it comes to getting the word out on what we're doing here. Our sponsors are great, and they're supporting the heck out of not just the show, but the contests as well. So excited about that, and we'll get those things rocking and rolling here in the very near future coming up on Monday. So thank you guys again for watching. Have a great St. Patrick's Day weekend. Stay safe. Don't blow away out there. Hopefully there's not too much snow, and we'll see you back here on Monday right here on OTA.